Hey guys, Kev here, and I want to do my full review of the TRM Neutron, or Neutron 2, from Three Rivers Manufacturing. So if you've been following along at all, this is a knife I was not planning to buy, was not a model I really was thinking of getting back in the collection. I had the 1.0 version. But at Blade Show, we ended up at the TRM booth. I went over there with Justin, the knife dude. So shout out to Justin. Go check out his channel. Really cool. I mean, he's 14 years old and he runs a pass around group and has a YouTube channel for knives. It's pretty impressive. And meeting him in person, he was actually like one of the coolest people I met at Blade Show. So anyway, we were over at TRM booth talking to Marianne Halpern, and I just couldn't stop fidgeting with this specific knife. I picked it up because this color really intrigued me. I just fell in love with this green color. It's called, what's it called? Emerald River or Emerald City Techwood. I think it might be Emerald City because River makes no sense. So Emerald City Techwood, I'm going with that. And yeah, so I fell in love with it. I was sitting there fidgeting with it, and it has to be the smoothest TRM I've ever handled. And they've all been good. My first Neutron, I really liked. It was the carbon fiber variation. The improvements they've made on the Neutron are pretty solid, and I think that's one of the reasons I kind of wanted to pick one of these up after playing with it. I've also had two Atoms, two different ones. That knife is just too big for me. I just don't like how it looks being spread out so far. It kind of kills the look for me. It's like, you know, it's like a guy wearing a size 9 in the pictures, and then you get your size 12, and it looks ridiculous, right? Looks like Ronald McDonald's shoes. That's the analogy I always use, and I'm sticking with it. So, let's start off. We're just going to rip through the review, try to keep this quick. I tend to blather and ramble, but in the full review, I like to just hit the points and call it a day. So, aesthetically, I think this is a good looking knife. I really love a solid drop point, and that's what this is. Again, I'm absolutely in love with this Emerald City Techwood. Absolutely cool. It does have a right hand only deep carry clip, which is fantastic. The original did not come with the deep carry clip. Now these are button head screws, but there's plenty of clearance. I've never had an issue with it going in or out of my pocket. Good retention on the clip, but aesthetically it looks good, kind of Benchmade looking on the clip there. Yeah, I love the aesthetics of this knife. The thumb studs look good. They have that nice kind of rounded look to it. I'll be throwing in a little bit of B-roll in the review of the knife, me opening it, just to kind of show you what it looks like and everything up close. If you didn't see the first impressions video, has these 3 standoffs back there. It is a nested liner lock. It is a titanium liner lock, which makes a big difference in terms of structural capability. I think it just makes it more durable. It feels better. I've had some liner locks that are thin and that are steel, and they just feel chintzy. This feels well built. So yeah, aesthetics are good. Ergonomics are fantastic on this knife. Again, the Atom is just a little too big in all dimensions for me. I just don't enjoy it. To me, these knives just scream, you know, small office carry, backup knife, that kind of thing, right? And the Atom is kind of trying to play that game where it's a little bit bigger, and maybe we could do some hard work with this thing, right? And that's not what it's just not what I imagined for a TRM knife. So I don't know. Again, this isn't about the Atom, I'm sorry. But yeah, so ergos, ooh, wow, almost cut myself. This thing has cut me a few times, got me right there on the live stream the other day. That's what happens with these thumb stud liner lock type knives. For me, it tends to happen. That's why I'm not a big fan of thumb stud only. I don't know what it is, but I tend to close it and then kind of catch my thumb like this. And the more I drink, the worse it gets. Yeah. So anyway, ergos are fantastic. You can hold it back here, get a little more reach, or you can choke up to here, and you have perfect control of that blade. Speaking of that blade, it is fantastic. 20 CV steel, ground to perfection, stonewash to perfection. It's just an absolute pleasure of a blade to look at and to use. It comes down to an absolutely screaming sharp edge, probably one of the best edges. It probably is the best edge I've ever handled. Just phenomenal. Look how thin that stock is. You guys have seen these before, so I don't want to kill you with all this, you know, repetition here. So yeah, so the blade's really good. I mentioned the clip. The carry is fantastic, nice and deep. You don't have anything sticking up. It rides in pocket very well, comes out of pocket very well. It's really good, guys. Sounds. The sounds are good. I actually really like them on this knife. I like the way it cracks out. It just has this nice kick to it when it comes out of there. They absolutely nailed the detent. So, real quick on sound. You know, it's not one of the ones that's louder sounding or whatever, but it has a satisfaction to it. Both on the open and the close. I don't know what it is. So I give this one like a 6 out of 10, which is good for that category. So action. They nailed the detent, guys. This is the best detent on a TRM I've ever handled. That's one reason I just had to buy it. I mean, it has the best action on a TRM ever, not just detent. It is super smooth, just silky as butter, as they would say. You know, better than a CRK. I hate that that's like the hallmark for that category, but it shoots out of there, detent styled perfectly. I don't think I've ever failed this knife. And then on the close, it's the best TRM as well. Like, it drops down to my nail like that, and then you just swing it down. I have not touched this pivot one time, and I do not plan to touch this pivot ever. There's no blade play. It does that. It's dead centered. Like, I'm just not going to mess with this thing. That's where I've gotten in trouble with TRM knives. Trying to take them apart, put them back together. The tolerances are so tight because of how thin it is that it's just an absolute pain in the ass. I've had so many problems with the atoms I've had. Well, I had one atom that I took apart and tried to put back together and swap scales, and it just was a nightmare. I could never get it back to where it was. And then if I did, it never stayed that way for long. So I haven't, you know, the other atom I had, I sold within a day. The first Neutron I had, I did take apart. And that one actually, surprisingly, I got back together perfectly fine. It was pretty early in my collecting, so I'm surprised now that I know, you know, certain things. But I don't know. I'm not going to mess with it. I don't recommend people take these apart, really. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure a lot of people are going to say they've done it and whatever. But I'm like an absolute action snob. And if it feels like this, and then I take it apart and put it back together, and it doesn't feel like this, I'm going to be pissed, you know? So, I don't know. So that's me anyway. But on this knife, the action is spectacular. It really is. I am very impressed with the action. So, yeah, that's all the big categories, right? Aesthetics, ergos, action, cutting, carry, and sounds. Now, value. So I paid $200 for this. That was with these awesome Techwood scales. This is a 2-dot, I think they call it. It's a factory second, basically. I don't know if you can see this little line right here, like halfway down the blade. There's this little line. And that is why this is a factory second. Otherwise, it is absolutely perfect. And honestly, if I had gotten this brand new, I would have never noticed that. And I didn't even notice it. Marianne pointed it out to me when I was sitting there and asking her the price. So, yeah, I got it for $200 with these scales. So I think normally these are like, what, $200 or $220 new with like G10. And then if you get scales like this, they're like $90. So this is probably close to a $300 TRM. And I got it for $200. So I am absolutely pleased with the price. And I think in general, the value of the Neutron 2, the Atom, any of them, is fantastic. You're getting an American-made, completely American-made knife with 20 CV steel. You know, they're not trying to hit you with 154 CM or S35. They're giving you 20 CV, ground to perfection. It's just a great knife, guys. The price is spot on, perfect. They could charge more and get away with it in America. Because look at other companies giving you similar materials. You know, titanium and 20 CV cost you $500 from a lot of companies in America. So I think the price is fantastic, honestly. They are a little thinner and smaller and everything than those knives I'm talking about. You know, so that goes into it, I guess. But, yeah, I just think the price is good. Recommendations. Guys, lefty, righty, whatever. This knife is fantastic. It does have the scales are tapped. The liners, sorry, are tapped for lefties. So lefties out there that are all pissed right now because I have a right-hand only knife. The first Neutron did have holes on the other side, but they thought it marred up the show side. You hear that a lot. So they tap the liners, but they don't offer lefty scales, which is weird. But if you buy a knife or buy scales from them and you contact them and say, hey, could you tap those for lefty for me? They will do it. So all you really need to do is reach out to TRM, and they'll take care of it for you. So I appreciate that. I don't understand why they don't just offer lefty scales, like come up with some stock ones, sell them on the website, be done with it, right? Or come out with, you know, a few in each batch that are lefty set up right from the get-go, and then sell those. I don't know. It just seems weird that they cater to us, but they don't quite go all the way, right? It's weird. So anyway, fantastic knife, guys. It is a very, very, very solid knife, a very recommendable knife. I would not say it's like a primary knife. Now, for me, office carry type job, you know, that kind of stuff, this is perfectly fine if this is the only thing in my pocket. It's plenty, more than plenty. You know, the only thing I'd worry about maybe is if I came across some big zip ties. I don't run into that very often. Or like at home recently, I've had to cut hose for some things, like pretty thick plastic hose. I'm sure this would do the job. I don't know if it would be the best for the job. It's because it doesn't have a lot of weight behind the blade. But, you know, so great secondary and possibly a solid primary knife for most people. So, TRM Neutron or Neutron 2, definitely recommendable, definitely solid knife. Yeah, I appreciate you guys. I love you so much. Let me know what you think of this knife down below. I know a few people are going to ask me if they can buy it. I already am getting those messages. Guys, I love you, right? I do. If I'm going to sell a knife, I'll tell you. I will post it, whatever, right? I know that sometimes I just sell it to somebody. You're not going to know ahead of time. Okay. But if you're going to message me just to say, hey, love your channel. If you ever sell that knife, let me get it. You know, don't do it. I really appreciate the support, but that just feels like you're just saying that so that when I sell a knife, I'll give it to you. Not because you actually, you know, I know they're not mutually exclusive or whatever, but it just feels kind of weird. And I'm like, okay, thanks for the support, and I'll let you know. You know, I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. If I want to sell a knife, I'll sell a knife. But usually somebody saying they'll buy it doesn't make me want to sell it. You know what I mean? Like, I know I could sell this and get my money back. That's another thing. They hold their value very well. And the TRM Tycoons Really Matter group on Facebook is fantastic. The company is fantastic. I didn't even bring that up because I've said it so many times already. Marianne over there is a gem of a person. So, yeah, guys, sorry for the extra ramble there. I love you. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will catch you later.